Hey, 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 it's B-Rad Celebrity Hairstylist here, your host of the Hairstylist Empowerment Podcast, a platform that allows the voices of the beauty industry to empower with the spoken word. Thank you for joining us on today's show. We're currently on over 50 plus podcast platforms, including Amazon Music, Audible, and Spotify, all thanks to you. So we're here live today and streaming. We have an exciting guest. So welcome to today's episode of the Hairstylist Empowerment Podcast. Today's guest has had the opportunity to mentor with great people and need to be sure to pass things along to others. Our industry is changing fast and we must keep up or be left behind. Let's welcome today's guest, Gary Call of Kin, to today's episode of the Hairstylist Empowerment Podcast. So I'll bring Gary up right now. So we are live. So if you want to put your comments in, you want to say hi, you have any questions, you can definitely do that. And then we can bring them up on the screen and celebrate you because that's what we like to do. So welcome, Gary. So, hey, it's so exciting to have you on. I think I've wanted to have you on for a while, but it was just all timing and things like that. But so if you want to kind of introduce yourself and give a little bit about your background.
You bet. You bet. I'm happy to be here with you. I have watched your podcasts, both the video version and listened to them, and they're just great. And it's really exciting to have people who are able and willing to share their excitement about the industry and really where we can go next and what can happen next. I have been involved in the beauty industry in some way most of my life. Um, the story winds way back. My grandfather-in-law owned salons, so as soon as I got married, I was very exposed to the beauty industry. Um, and his history goes back into the 30s. So I have a very, kind of a broad awareness of where we've been and what's going on. I have taught cosmetology school. I've owned a salon. I've been a platform artist for a couple of different manufacturers. I've written education programs. I worked at the distributor level and ran a distributorship for about 12 years. And then I moved to manufacturing, spent 17 years there. And 10 years ago, in fact, it was my anniversary Sunday, I believe, of 10 years in my current position as the head coach at Kin North America. And so for the past 10 years, what I've been doing is sharing a phenomenal quality European brand with American salons. And the thing that's interesting is the company itself is 90 years old, and yet they haven't been in North America but for about 12 or 14 years. And so we decided as a company that we would be a little bit odd and go directly to stylists and directly to salons. And so rather than use local distributors, rather than use sales consultants, we network and share through our friend groups and our Facebook contacts and Instagram groups and the people that we know. And we've been really pretty successful at creating a new awareness over the past 10 years. When I started, nobody had ever heard of us. Now, a lot of people still haven't heard of us. But for my from my experience, we really offer and have one of the most amazing product collections that I've ever seen. And product performance, it's absolutely amazing. But we all know that products are not the only thing that make the industry great. And so we have to take a step back and look at the individual artists and the individual stylists that are involved and how they are contributing and what they're accomplishing and what they're able to do to grow the business and grow the industry. We are changing fast, Brad.
Yeah, but I
Things,
think change is good, and that you go directly to, the stylists and the salons and the that sort of thing. So can you share, we'll backtrack a little bit, but can you share the journey of what initially inspired you to get involved in the beauty industry and with Kin?
um, a couple of different things. One of the things that inspired me initially to be involved in the beauty industry is that I was a theater major in college and discovered that there's no jobs
Mhm.
unless you move to New York City. And so I was at a crossroads of and I was single at the time. Do I run to New York City and try to become successful, or do I look at other options and other things? And the thing that I love the most about the beauty industry that appealed initially is when I got to know my wife's family. My grandfather-in-law did not have to wear a tie.
Oh.
They lived in nice houses.
Mhm.
They've got a swimming pool. They live really well. Ran a very successful business in the 50s through the 80s, and he didn't wear a tie to work. And so I thought, well, that's something that's kind of appealing.
Mm.
And so, interestingly enough, as his grandchildren and great grandchildren, there's like 5 or 6 hairdressers that are involved in the industry. Many of them are in-laws rather than his genetic children. But one of my cousins has worked corporately for L'Oreal and Wella, and and been a real bigwig. And I've kind of branched and grown my career, but my career growth has been based primarily on looking at mentors and finding people who I wanted to follow or pattern or be like. And I vividly remember in my mind the turn of saying, "Oh, I can do that. I wonder if I can do that." And
Mhm.
that took me from working in the salon to teaching cosmetology school to working at a distributorship to being the director of the distributorship for sales and education to being invited to be a regional manager at a manufacturer, and then eventually being an executive vice president of marketing education. And so I kind of thought I was going to finish my career, at the manufacturer level. And one of my distributors started a new company, and they called up and said, "Hey, we want to talk to you." And I'm like, really? And this is somebody I've known for, I've known for 25 years. And
Yeah.
so I am talking to them, and they're going, "Well, come do this." And I'm like, "Really?" And I remember the very first time I met him, they said, "Hey, you need to come work for me." And I'm like, no, I've done distributor.
Mhm.
But after 20 years, they sent me some products, and I tried the products. And I vividly remember this part. Was I put the products in the shower, and I started using a little bit of the hair color and messing around. And my wife came to me one day and she said, I don't really, and my wife was a hairdresser and worked in the salon industry. She says, "I don't really care where you work, but we're buying this shampoo." I'm like, great. Like, so my internal, loyalty or integrity said, well, I guess I've got to, look into this seriously. And really what it did for me personally is at a time when I thought my career was winding down, I had the opportunity of going in and saying, well, we could build something again. And I think that's what drives a lot of us in our industry is the entrepreneur gene, and the idea of saying, wait, I created that, or I
Mhm.
built that, or look what happened. We were at A and now we're at G. We're nowhere near Z, but we moved forward and we've expanded and grown. And for a lot of us, survived through COVID was, there should be an award that somebody needs to give
Mhm.
and say, hey, you're still in business, so you're still making things happen. And and I'm not sure that our brand is for every hairdresser, but it's for people who are done with the BS and ready to be serious, and to say, hey, I
Mhm.
want to use a top quality brand. I want to deal with a company that's not at Amazon, that's not diverted, that's not wandering around, that's paying attention to hair care and paying attention to salons. Another division of our company is Cinderella Hair Extensions. They're actually much larger than we are. But the people that own Kin North America also own Cinderella Hair. And so we have that additional professional category that we can be involved in, and we can and help grow salons. And of course, that brand has been exclusively professional for 25 years. And so you can, it's an old school model for some people,
Mhm.
but as I look at the industry and I look at hairdressers, we haven't changed a lot. In the explosion of technology and the explosion of all these cool things that are going on in our world, we're still kind of doing hair one client at a time,
Mhm.
and haven't been replaced. We may be taking, photos in our salon constantly and posting on Instagram or posting on Facebook, and that's exciting, but
Mhm.
it doesn't replace that one-on-one connection and that one-on-one contact. And so really one of the difficulties I think sometimes newer stylists face is the dependence upon texting or the dependence upon keyboards and upon devices. And then all of a sudden you put someone in their chair they have to talk to live and have to create real face-to-face relationships with. And a face-to-face relationship is not the same as a Facebook relationship.
No.
And all of a sudden you're touching and talking to real people. And you know, my my grandfather used to say the most important man in a woman's life is her hairdresser. Second is her gynecologist, and then her husband is somewhere after that. And,
Yeah.
and so we have that opportunity if
Mhm.
we jump on it, if we grab it.
Yeah, and you've said a lot of stuff in there. You said about mentorship, which I believe, that's a big thing, and I think that's at the core. Everybody needs some kind of mentor. Even mentors need mentors.
For
And I
sure.
think that's one thing that's lacking a lot in the industry because people think, "I've learned everything I learned from school, that's all I need to know." But you
Well,
really learn.
or I learned it by watching TikTok and YouTube, which is even
Exactly.
scarier
Mhm.
because we have such a strange world because everything is available, but just because the information's available doesn't mean that you're accessing it, and it doesn't mean that you are absorbing it and implementing it and using it. Really good friend of mine once, I was trying to sell her a advanced training course. It was with Michael Cole. I'm sure you're familiar with
Mhm.
Michael.
Mhm.
I went in. I said, "We've got this advanced training course coming in. You need to come to this, and you need to be a part of this program." And this was, in the '90s. She turned back to me and she said, "No." I'm like, "What do you mean? You
Oh.
come to everything.
Mhm.
You get involved in everything." And she said, "Look at this." And she had a whole row of binders up in her office.
Oh,
And she
okay.
said, "I haven't implemented this yet. When I'm done implementing, then I'll go see something new." And that's a huge concept that we miss. Guy Kawasaki, if you're familiar with,
Oh, I
he
know
was
him. Yeah.
he was the evangelist. He was the evangelist
Mhm.
for Apple computers. He
Mhm.
convinced people before before a Mac computer existed. His job was to convince people to create software for this computer that didn't exist.
Mhm.
And one of my favorite quotes, and I've read a lot of his stuff, but one of my favorite quotes that he shared was, "Let us compete not on our ability to collect information, but on our ability to implement."
Mhm.
So, yes, all of us can become heart surgeons by watching YouTube.
Yes.
The information's there,
Mhm.
but I don't want you to do surgery on me until you've had a few years of practice.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
we got to implement, not just read and not just
No,
watch.
and that's a huge thing because there is so much education out there, online, offline, and people buy programs but they don't implement. It's the same when it's a new year, I'm gonna get in shape, I'm gonna buy a
Oh
treadmill,
yeah,
I'm gonna buy a
yeah.
whatever, and then now it becomes your clothes hanger because it just sits
Yeah,
there, right? Because you
exactly,
don't really use it.
exactly. In fact, I
And
have an elliptical that's upstairs in my loft that
yeah,
I see occasionally.
yeah,
It needs to be moved down where I have to trip over it.
yeah, and I think that's what it is. I think it's igniting the passion because what happens, motivation is great, but motivation dissipates. As soon as you're from that rally, from that thing, everybody's woohoo, great. I'm going to make 6 figures, 7 figures. I'm going to do all this. I'm going to whatever when I get back. And then they get home a day or two later, it's weaning off. And then they're
Totally
like,
true.
and like you said, she had this whole library of stuff that she hadn't applied, and if you're not implementing, I don't think you're growing because anything like that takes action, and if you want change
Absolutely.
to happen, it
I
takes action, and that could be part of the challenge. So I'll ask you, what has been the most significant challenge you faced in your career or you believe that's in the industry, and how would you say to overcome it, or how did you overcome it if it's your personal challenge for yourself?
um, well, I can talk about the industry first, then I'll have to think about myself.
Yeah.
I think one of the most significant challenges for the industry today is it's not really the lack of mentors, but it's the structure of the salon industry.
Mm.
We've had, and I'm not going to be a jerk about it, but in the olden days, when traditional distributors could visit and support salons, you walked into a salon that had 8 or 10 or 12 employees, and if you were in a support role to support them with a brand or a manufacturer or support them with education,
Mhm.
you could visit 10 of those salons a day and impact more people. and as a salesperson be more financially successful. Today, with the everybody in an independent situation, whether they're in an independent group salon or in an independent suite, each of those individuals deserve and need the same level of support, information, and education that
Mhm.
was once available. But the challenge is one-on-one. If you're expecting, and it's so funny because I was reading on a podcast thread or a Facebook thread the other day about, I wish that I had a sales consultant that would come support me, or I had a sales consultant come visit me, or somebody would come help me, or how can we help you grow? It's like, I need somebody. It's like a sales consultant can't, and really the big companies, Cosmoprof, Salon Centric, the
Mhm.
big companies don't have sales consultants in the field visiting every salon. They've developed stores, and the reason for stores is to serve that independent hairdresser.
Mhm.
Because if I was a traditional distributor and I sent my sales consultant into a solo salon suite, they would make it through one suite in the day
Mm.
and
Mm.
call on 30 hairdressers, each
Mhm.
with an individual business. And those businesses are valid and those businesses are real, but they don't stack up with the same kind of revenue that talking to a salon owner who can make a decision for 10 people does, or can schedule education for 10 people.
Mhm.
I have a single suite person. Sending an educator into a single suite person one-on-one is really a tough call.
Yes.
Can I really
Yeah.
do that? Can I support it that way? So, and that's compounded recently by the last 15 years or so of graduates who are coming out of school and stepping into a rental world or stepping into an independent world. And there's nothing wrong with that, but there's information and experience and mentorship and relationships that are lacking
Mm.
because they didn't have the opportunity to be part of a team and to be part of a group
Yep.
and to figure it out. And I always tell people, I said, cosmetology school traditionally is about a 1 year program. If you're in a private school, in a public school, it might take 2 years. But
Mhm.
a 1 year cosmetology program, that's your freshman year of college. What are you going to do for the next 3 years?
Yes.
And if you
Mhm.
can focus those next 3 years on education, on mentorship, and on growing, you'll be making as much money or more and driving a nicer car and
Mhm.
living in a nicer house than your friends who just graduated from college.
Mhm. Exactly, and I think the big thing is everybody wants to, they get in with the big hopes that I'm gonna get in this industry, I'm gonna make tons of money, I'm gonna
Right.
do this, build it, they will come sort of
And
thing.
I don't want to and I don't want to forget that, because this is about the money. Never
Yep.
forget, this is about making money. This is about feeding
Yeah.
the family. This is about sending your kids to good schools. This is about wearing good clothes. This is about great vacations. This is about driving a nice car.
Mhm.
That's why you do this.
Well, of
Yes, it's
course, and
creative and it's fun, and
yeah,
I
and
absolutely love it. But it's still there for that goal. That's still a result of that time and a result of the effort you place.
yeah, unfortunately, yeah, we can have the passion, but our passion doesn't pay our bills, so to speak.
Well, and you asked a personal challenge. Really, the I learned this really, really early before I even was in the industry, and that is I tend to like things.
Mhm.
I remember I was away at school and I wrote a letter home to my parents and I said, I really like my roommates. I really like school. I really like this. I was having a great time. My dad sends me back a letter, and this is in the olden days when you couldn't call. My dad sends me back a letter and says, after being your dad for 18 years, 19 years, I've learned that you like everything. Now that's not a bad, and I just came
Yeah.
wired that way. Now that's not a
Mhm.
bad thing. But one of the things that I often really believe is that I have the most wonderful job in the world. I have the most wonderful career in the world. I get to have fun.
Mhm.
Have always loved what I do. I've always loved the people I do it with. I've always loved my clients. I've always loved the people I work with, and it's always been a great, great, amazing opportunity. But to be fair, that's on me. I created that subconsciously, and it started before I was paying attention. But the real key is, and I said this a lot to a lot of people, I say, hey, we've got to make this work. We've got to be successful. Because if it doesn't, you have to get a real job.
Mhm.
And I'm never going to get a real job.
No.
So
No.
we got to make this work, and we
Yes.
got to do what it takes. And it's that kind of entrepreneurial drive and pressure that creates successful salon businesses, whether they're individual businesses or they're larger scope,
Mhm.
employee-based businesses. You've got to have that drive and that push. And you there's a story years ago about I don't know if it's true, but
Mhm.
about Cortez going to Mexico, and he was an explorer from Spain, and he took a bunch of people into to the coast of Mexico to conquer the Mayan
Yeah.
civilization. And they went in and they went to war and they marched around, and then they got chased down to the beach again. And then they went
Mhm.
back and they went to war and they got chased down to the beach again. And they get chased down to the beach and get on the boats and start to sail away. And so the last time they brought the boats to the shore, Cortez looked at his people and he said, "Burn the boats,"
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
we got to make this work.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Burn the
It's not
boats.
no options that are, um, sort of thing, and that's what it is. A lot of people tend to I think most people are wired to be fault finders. So
Yeah.
they just wanna identify, but they're not really necessarily problem solvers. They just wanna say, "It's because of this, because of this, because of this." I'll just stop
Well, and
for,
a lot of people, just from an income
yep.
standpoint, a lot of
Mhm,
people are raised in an environment where my family, and this is not speaking ill of anyone.
mhm.
My father was in this situation professionally, where they are paid to attend.
Yes.
You put a career together, you show up every day, and they send you money.
Mhm,
And there are high paying jobs. You can make good money being paid to show up. And in our industry, you're not paid to be there. You're paid for what you do.
mhm,
And you have to make that connection in your mind and say, well, how am I going to change the world? How am I going to change what's going on? How am I going to build something bigger than existed before? Because I'm paid to do something. And even more than ever, and if it doesn't work out, it's my fault.
mhm.
I
Yep.
have to take complete responsibility. If you're in a suite by yourself, there's nobody to blame.
Nope.
You know,
Nope.
did you did you jump into a suite too soon? Are you not very friendly? Are you not very personable? Do you not have good skills? Do you not use good dialogue? What is it? I mean, but you got to get really down and dirty and serious with yourself, because
Mhm.
wow,
And
painful.
that's the thing I think for a lot of people, they jump into stuff too quickly. I know a lot of people. So Gary and I are live. So if you're just tuning in now, Gary Call from Kin is here with me. We are live. So uh, put hi in the comments if you have any questions. If you have any comments, we'd love you to interact. This is a live process, and live always works better when we get feedback from the audience. So we welcome everybody coming in. Just say hi. We'll bring you up. We'll celebrate you as we kind of continue through our conversation. We are a podcast, but it's not an interview. It's a dialogue with Gary and myself. So if you have the master here, now's your time to put in your comments. Now's your time to ask him what you'd like to know, and things like that. But kind of speaking of misconceptions, what's one misconception that people have about the beauty industry that you'd like to clear up?
Well, we have because of the industry, independent employee, independent stylist mindset. We have a huge confusion about um, numbers.
Mm,
The big thing we see folks, I'm going to be a six-figure stylist. Well, how much do you make? Um, the amount that you make is not how much your business grosses. The amount that you make is how much you can take home.
hmm.
How much do you get to spend at the Nordstrom shoe sale or on a car payment or to save up for a mortgage? So we hear people talk about a six-figure stylist. A six-figure stylist is somebody that's making more than $100,000 a year.
Mm,
But is it $100,000 a year in their gross as their business? And by the time they pay their taxes and their insurance and their rent and their supplies and their advertising and their marketing and their education and all of those other expenses, from my experience, there's about 50%
mm.
if you're good.
Yes.
Somewhere between You can make somewhere between 40 and 60% of your gross revenue behind the chair, and you can make the same amount as an employee. So the
Mm,
reason to be independent is not money. the reason to be independent is because you need the control, either emotionally or because you have small children and you want to be there for their school program, and you know you want to send your kids to school every day and you only want to work between the hours of 10 and 2. That's something you need in your control. So if that's what you need in your control, then being an independent stylist is great for you, and that's what you should be doing. But becoming an independent stylist is not all of a sudden, wow, I'm rich. It's, wow, I'm touching a lot of money. And anybody that's been involved in business understands there's a difference between touching the money and keeping the money.
Mm.
And just because the money went into a checking account with your name on it doesn't mean you get to spend it on whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you find, I mean, unless you find just amazing joy in walking the aisles of Cosmoprof and pulling tubes of hair color, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't, for most people, that doesn't really fulfill your need to shop. You know, it's not quite the same as going to the mall or, you know, getting on Amazon and going crazy. But realize that you're inseparably connected. I think the other thing too is giving birth to a business is like having a toddler. They never grow up.
Mm.
And so killing a business after you've given birth to it is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Getting in is really easy,
Well,
but
because
getting
you have to stay motivated, and I think that's a lot of things for people. They're excited, they put it together,
yeah,
they had their place, open the door. All the clients said, "You open somewhere, I'll come." So how do you stay motivated and continue to grow in your field, especially when they're facing setbacks or there's slow periods? Because they think everybody said they're going to come, so I'm always going to be busy. Tons of money is going to be,
well, but you got to,
coming
first
out
thing you got to
my.
remember is everybody you know already has a hairdresser.
Hmm. Hmm.
They're all getting their hair cut
Yes.
somewhere. So you have to steal clients from somewhere. Now, 50% of the people don't go to a salon at all. So they're getting their friends and neighbors and spouse and whoever to cut their hair.
Hmm.
But of the 50% who are going to salons, they've all got a place to go. So you got to kind of be really honest with yourself and say, how do I do it better? How do I do it quicker? How do I do it more uniquely? How do I get noticed? And your friends are not always your best base for clients anyway. You get too emotionally involved and too involved in their personal life. It's
Hmm.
clients that are clients are a lot easier on your emotions than friends. Uh, but I think the big thing is you never give up and you never stop. You have to keep pushing forward, and that means you've got to read books, you've got to listen to podcasts, you've got to, you know, watch
Burn,
videos, you've got to
burn
go
the
to
burn the
events,
boat.
you've got to go to events, you've got to show up, you've got to be visible.
Hmm.
Um, I remember one of the things we used to do in our salon is we would go on, and I'd watch salon, and I've watched salons do this, is they go out as a salon team, put on a T-shirt that says Gary's Salon, and go out for drinks. You know,
Hmm.
be visible, be a little bit obnoxious, do things that are out of your comfort zone, like volunteer to be the official salon of the high school cheerleaders, or the
Hmm.
official salon of the local community theater, or the official. I mean, you've got to go be visible and be seen, and that's harder and harder. And I tend to be pretty much of an introvert. Um, and that
Hmm.
I'm an introvert. I'm private. I want to stay home, and I'm happy on my couch. That's not a great small local business building attitude. You got to get out and be
Hmm.
seen and become familiar and get involved with your neighborhood, with your schools, with the church, with whoever it is that draws
Hmm.
you. I mean, it can be the Dungeons and Dragons role play group in the
Hmm.
park. It doesn't matter. You just
Yes.
have to be social and be visible and wear your wear your logo on your shirt. I mean, make sure that wherever you go, people are asking, "What is that? Who are you? And where are you from?" It's old fashioned. Pass out business cards. It's
Hmm.
old fashioned. Go introduce yourself to all the other businesses in the strip center.
Hmm.
You know, make sure your banker knows what you do. You know, hang out in the makeup area of the local department store and find the prettiest girl so you can work on her hair. I just those are old tricks, but the idea that you can build your clientele through Instagram is real. You can get clients through Instagram, but you're also talking to the entire world,
Hmm.
and it's a little bit more efficient sometimes to talk to your neighborhood.
Exactly, because all the followers aren't necessarily clients. You could have 10,000 followers and maybe 3 clients out of all those 10,000 that are
Well, and as
supporting,
I
liking,
mean,
sharing.
I live in the West. It doesn't
Mhm,
matter if I'm a stylist trying to build my clientele. It doesn't
mm,
matter if someone in Atlanta likes the hair that I do.
mhm,
They can go gaga over the things that I'm doing, but
mhm.
they don't ever have to show up, and I wouldn't expect them to show up from Atlanta.
Uh,
So,
you
that's the
never know.
reality.
Some people do drive. I had clients that drove 3 hours
Sure,
just to see me. But then again, you have to offer something that no one else is, because
absolutely.
we all went to school, we all can cut hair, we all can color, we can all, basically, but and it's really that relationship that you have with that person, as opposed to having the cheapest price. You have the
Right.
cheapest price, you're gonna get the cheapest people
Yeah,
sometimes, no.
there's a clientele for everybody,
Mhm. Oh,
and
definitely.
you don't have to be the cheapest haircut. Every market has a most expensive haircut,
Mhm.
and
Oh, of course.
they find
Yeah.
clients, and people drive past your salon or drive past or overlook you because you don't charge enough as often as they overlook you for charging too much.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
I
'Cause
mean,
I found that too. Sometimes the higher the price, the less you create value,
yeah,
and I
well,
think that's
and
what perceive value, I
it's
guess.
not about price,
Yeah.
and I know this is popular, but it's not about worth.
Mhm.
You and I talked about that, Brad.
Yes.
It's like the idea, I charge what I'm worth, charge what you're worth. It's like, you know what? You're worth what people will pay.
Mhm.
And that's based on your education and your experience and your skills and your location and the music you play in your salon and how you dress and what neighborhood your salon is in and
Mhm.
the language you use, the the way you do your hair, whether you
Yes.
are put together in the morning or not, all of those things affect what's going on. And
Mhm.
so the idea is if someone's paying, and I have a friend in Boston who charges $700 for a haircut.
Mhm.
If someone's paying $700 for a haircut, as long as it's worth eight, the
Yes.
client is overjoyed.
Mhm.
If someone's paying $20 for a haircut, but it's only worth 12, the client is pissed.
Yes. Mhm.
So what are you going to do with that? That's tough.
Mhm.
You've got to figure out how to offer more than you charge,
Yeah.
whatever that is.
Mhm. Yeah, under promise, over deliver. You're creating experience. It's not just a money exchange. I think you're what you're exchanging is something more. It's that experience they can't get anywhere else. Because when they leave, they have that feeling, like you said, they're fulfilled when they said, "Oh, I really got a great deal there," or the value, regardless of the price, was more than what they paid.
Well, another mindset
Yeah.
that can help you in the salon is if you take complete responsibility. Years ago, and I'm talking in the 80s and 90s when people were first really starting, they threw away frosting caps, they started doing highlights. They
Hmm.
started doing weaves. And one of the concepts that I used to teach was you've got to take 100% control of their hair. Meaning, if they've got mousy brown hair with
Hmm.
20% gray, a technically beautiful weave that's toned to perfection on that hair is still highlights on mousy brown
Hmm.
20% gray hair.
Yes.
So you got to color 100% of the hair on their head.
Hmm.
Now, the next step to that is you're responsible for their hair the whole time.
Hmm.
They may leave the salon beautiful, but what they come back to the salon in 6 weeks, you're still responsible for how they look. So, how did that color age or fade? How did that haircut grow out? How did things change over the 6 weeks they weren't with you? What happened to their hair? Well, they looked fantastic when they left. And 2 days later,
Hmm.
their toner had faded and their hair had gone frizzy. That's not my problem. It's like, that's totally your problem.
Hmm.
Because the client says, I wish you could do my hair every day. Well, my goal in life is to give them hair they can do every day to look as close as it can to if I did it, whether
Hmm.
it takes teaching them how to round brush or making sure they get the right blow dryer or here's the shampoo you need to use. It's all part of it. Say, look, you want to look your best for the next 6 weeks.
Hmm.
Here's the tools. Here's the tools. Here's the techniques. Here's the time you're going to need to spend. Oh, you don't have that much time to spend. Well, then we need to talk about a different style.
Hmm.
If you can't take the time to round brush your hair, you've got natural wave. We're going to have to figure out how to wear the wave. Great. Then that's a whole other conversation. That I want to
Mhm.
have a smooth bob, because you're not going to take 45 minutes every day,
Mhm.
or every time you shampoo.
Exactly. If they have naturally curly hair, they don't wanna use any product, and they assume that you cut it and it's gonna stay
And it's going
straight.
to shake and go.
It's
Well, my
obviously
mother, and
not.
my mother is a lovely woman. She's
Yeah.
91 years old.
Mhm.
And I always tell people, I said, eventually you're going to get to do her hair, because she gets around, because
Okay,
she's
yes.
looking for the perfect anchor woman bob. That is her
Okay,
visual style that she wants.
yes.
And I'm here to tell you, she's got
Mhm.
super fine hair,
Yeah.
not a lot of density. It's never going to happen.
Mhm.
So she moves from stylist to stylist. And my whole life, she moved from stylist to stylist to stylist. And I had an opportunity a couple of times,
Mhm.
and she continued on.
Yes. Yep.
So because she's looking for something that doesn't exist,
Mhm.
which is great, because our clients are buying hope.
Exactly.
And she's an
But
amazing client. She'll pay anybody to
mhm.
do it. She's
If
done she's done transfer perm, she's done relaxing, she's done everything except extensions. She wears wigs half the time. I mean, it's great.
Mhm. Yeah,
She's a great client, but
and it
you
makes
got to ride with them.
it exactly, and that's one thing because the picture in your mind always looks better, I think, in what you visualize. But then, as I say, like somebody could say, "I want this color. It looks great from this magazine." It could be, like a burnt orange, bright, vibrant color, but it looks great on the model because they have lighting, clothing,
Oh yeah.
accessories, like
And
makeup.
they have a makeup artist that does their makeup for them.
And they've been, in 3, 4 hours in the chair to make everything balance and everything, and
Well,
that's the biggest thing too, with light
and when you see
reflection.
photos, the
Mhm.
the old version, today we have AI that creates
Yes.
photos that are,
Mhm.
unintelligible. And you look at them and you're kind of going, really? Well, in the olden days, we would compare our work to work that went on the runway, where you saw, magazines, or you saw runway work at a show. And it's like somebody goes, yeah, I want that color. That's so beautiful. And they'd say, what color do you use? And you tell them, but what you didn't tell them
Mhm.
is, it's Sunday afternoon at 2.
Yes.
Yesterday morning at 8 a.m., we did color correction on the hair. We deep reconditioned the hair. We did a permanent color on the hair. Then we did highlights on the hair. Then we toned the highlights. Then we put a semi-permanent color over the top of it for a glaze. And then this morning, when the client came in,
Mhm.
we put a temporary color on top of the entire thing and
Yep.
blew her out. And now
Mhm.
she walked on stage. She got 7 hours worth of hair color at salon value of, over $1,000 or
Mhm.
$2,000 in
Yes.
services.
Mhm.
And the client shows you the picture and says, I want to be this. You're like, we can start,
Mhm.
but that's permanent color with a technique, with semi-permanent color, with a um, temporary glaze over the top of it,
Mhm.
that was styled by a professional.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, can you do that in the salon? Well, yeah, but it's hard,
Mhm.
and it's
Yeah.
a and the easiest way to do it in the salon is to layer it over time. Today we're covering your gray. Next time you come, we're doing highlights. Next time you come,
Mhm.
we're doing this glaze. Next time you come, you're going to use this at home. It can happen over time, but it doesn't happen in one visit.
No, and that's what a lot of clients believe, though, everything can be done in one step. I'll be in and out in an hour, hour and a
Oh
half,
yeah,
2 hours max,
yeah.
with the
There's two
highlights.
clients, either
Yep.
one with plenty of time or plenty of money.
Mhm.
It's like, hey, I don't, I got to be done in 45 minutes, but I'll pay you $700. I'm like,
Yes.
or well, I can spend the whole day. It's not a
Mhm.
problem. I have $45. It's like, neither one of them works.
Exactly, unless you, yeah, come to a kind of during the consultation finding and say, "This is what I can do,"
Yeah,
because I don't think you should ever say no to anybody. You never know, even that client with the $45, they may have saved every single penny and they
that's
wanna
right.
invest in you,
Well,
and
and
then
to be fair, I love those clients.
mhm,
I love nothing more than the mom in the polyester pants who's
yep,
been pregnant continuously for 7 years,
mhm,
coming to us
yes,
to be saved, to
mhm,
to be to be free, to
yeah,
relax, to be beautiful, to have her Vogue cover model moment. It's
mhm,
like, that's magnificent. That's the thing that really turns me on
mhm,
and really gets me excited, is, letting that suburban mom have her chance.
yeah, And
that's
that's the way it should be, and that's part of the relationships, not that you can give everything away for free, but if she chose you to invest
yeah,
in, I think why not say, "Hey, this is what we can do," or "Why don't we do a deep treatment? Why don't we do," like you said, she comes there to relax. Let her come, let her relax,
right.
and she's going to be your biggest advocate for telling people, "I went to that salon, I had the best experience, you need to go."
Because
Rather
of how she felt.
Exactly, as opposed to saying, "Sorry, we start at $50, so we can't take care of
And your
you."
hair's really fine,
Yeah.
and if I don't, and if you cancel on me, I'll probably fire you.
Mhm.
It's like, uh,
Exactly, and I mean,
okay,
and if you're saying unless people are so busy, they're able to turn away money,
right.
able to turn away clients, because
None
if
of
we
us
all
are that busy.
well, if we all kept every single client we ever did from our when we very first started, because
Yeah,
clients move, clients pass
right,
on, clients, they want
right.
something different, things like that. But talking about color with kin, so what something amazing about kin color, can you kind of tell everybody about it? Because the big thing now is people are looking a lot for vegan.
Well, all of the Kim products are vegan to start out with. So all of our retail products and our color lines are both vegan. We have an ammonia-based color line that's very traditional. It's got a total of 120 shades. It's comparable to any full-service ammonia-based line you would see. Uh, it's in my world, fades less is more beautiful, is shinier, the hair is more healthy. I can say all those things because they're
Mhm.
true. Then in addition to that, we also have a line called Kin Cream. We have a line called Kin Essences Color. Kin Essences Color is an oil delivery system. And
Mm.
oil delivery was created about 15 years ago by L'Oreal. And you can read all the science about it on L'Oreal on their websites and by Googling, just simply because they're publicly held. So they release all of their patents and explain
Mhm.
everything. But what it is it's the idea of saying if you have the cortex of your hair likes oil, the cuticle of your hair likes water. And so if I create an oil-based hair color, it will pull the color molecules deeper into the cortex and make the color more, for lack of a better word, more dense. If somebody looks at a seven natural head of strand of hair with an ammonia-based color or a seven natural strand of hair with an oil-based color, the oil-based color will look darker and deeper. It's not really darker and deeper. It just reflects more honestly, if you will.
Mhm.
And so um, our Kin Essences color is a total of 67 shades, I believe. And it's phenomenal for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is you can put it on 100% gray hair, any of those 67 shades, and they'll completely cover gray, and to match the swatch.
Oh, wow.
You can go on hair, yeah. You
Yeah.
can go on hair in a color correction world when
Mm.
you bleach and lighten the hair, and now you want to go back to a natural level 5. Just apply a natural level 5 right over the top of whatever you've got, and it will match the swatch. It's crazy.
Mm.
And when I talked to the chemist in Spain, I said, "Why does it do this? This is amazing. I love this." And my Spanish is bad, and his English isn't great, and so we're trying to figure this out. And he said, "I thought you'd want it to." It's like, yeah,
Mm.
I do want it to. I love it, but I'm
Exactly.
not sure why it works. Well, it works because of a company with 90 years experience formulating hair color.
Mhm.
And it's the company is family owned. He learned how to work in the lab and color hair from his father, who learned from his father, who learned from his father. He spent his whole career formulating hair color. Rather than, if you go to a big giant company, the people that are formulating color are fresh graduates from cosmetic chemistry school.
Mm. Mhm.
And they're tasked with creating three new shades for this existing line. Well,
Yes.
is there any reason that these tubes perform a little differently than those tubes and they don't really match those tubes? It's because they were all created by different people.
Mhm.
Well, we got people that have been working in the lab with the brands for decades. And so
Yes.
the Kin Essences color matches the Kin Cream color
Okay.
perfectly.
Mhm.
So if you get a level 7 gold in Kin Essences and a level 7 gold in Kin Cream, they turn out
Yeah.
identical.
Same. Yeah.
So if you need more lift, you use Kin Cream. If you're
Mhm.
refreshing the ends, you use Kin Essences. And then we
Mhm.
add a third component to the game called total control. And
Okay.
what total control is it's an additive that drops the pH. It physically changes the pH of a bowl of color.
Hmm.
So if I mix up a bowl of ammonia-free oil-based color, it has a pH of 9.3, 9.4. I put in 6 grams of total control. It's a liquid. Stir it up. The pH is now 5.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
just created a true ammonia-free demi-permanent hair color
Yes.
that matches my permanent color. How easy is that?
Hmm.
It decreases inventory by,
Yes.
you know, 50 of those little bottles,
Hmm.
and it also matches. And how many times do people say, well, how do I match this permanent color? Well, you mix this, we'll add a little bit, and you read all of the questions on Facebook. It's like, well, you put a little bit of this in, put a little bit of that in.
Hmm.
And I remember I was a distributor for a major brand that everybody knows, and they said they launched a new color line, and they said, and then you put the demi-permanent color on the ends, and it
Hmm.
matches perfectly. And I said, but their 6R doesn't match their 6R.
Hmm.
We go, yeah, it does. You just have to put a little cap full of 6G in it, and
Yep.
it'll work. And you're like, that doesn't match. Well, I like match, so
Exactly. And they're
if
trying
anything,
to.
I'm an evangelist for easy hair color. How's that?
Well, of course, and they're just trying to fill what's kind of faded out, right, and
Right.
replace those undertones and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But wow, our time is like flying. We're still gonna continue, but we're already over 45 minutes.
We can come back again. There's more.
But was there a moment in your career that you're most proud of, and what did you learn from that experience?
Oh, there've been a lot of things that have just been so cool. But in terms of a long term, and it didn't turn out perfect. But in terms of a long term investment of time, effort, and energy, I had the opportunity to spend about 18 months creating permanent color from
Oh,
scratch.
wow.
Going to the lab, I spent about 2 weeks a month going to the lab and testing, and we tested a total of, oh, let's see, more than 1,200 formulas, different iterations, different versions, to come up with a permanent color line with 80 shades. And
Mm.
it was academically, technically, in terms of education, in terms of, does somebody really know and understand how hair color works? That it blew my mind, and it just exploded my process of how color is created and what happens and what you have to do and what works and what doesn't work. And so, and one of the most interesting things was they used what's called a Hunter chromospectrometer, which is a computer that
Mhm.
looks at swatches, and then it comes back and it tells you the color components that are in the swatch. And it's got this much red and this much yellow and this, and it breaks the whole thing down.
Mhm.
And I remember being in the lab one day, and I had 3 swatches laid out, and the technician said, "Okay, you need to sign off on this because you need to approve this." I said, "Well, it doesn't match
Mhm.
because we had a reference swatch, and then we'd had this new swatch." I said, "Well, it doesn't match," and she says, "Well, here's the printout," and the printouts matched.
Hmm.
I said, "Yeah, but it doesn't match."
Yes.
And I took them outside in the sun, and I said, "I did all of the hairdresser things that we do. Look in the
Yeah.
rearview mirror of the car so they can see." It's like it doesn't match,
Mhm.
and that is where and that's why I guess I'm so respectful of the people in the lab at Kin, is because of their experience doing that and my small amount of experience in that world. 'Cause it's magical. Now,
Mhm.
the chemistry of hair color from brand to brand to brand is very, very similar because there's very narrow componentry that will make hair color work. You have
Mhm.
to have an alkalizer, you have to have some sort of a carrier, you have to have oxidizers, and then but the magic happens in the hands of the chef chemist that selects the dye
Mm.
and the
Yep.
couplers. And people don't understand that we don't use red, yellow, and blue to make hair color. We use chemicals. And
Yes.
so you put this much of um, peritoluene diamine in, and then you put in these 2 couplers, and then you see what happens. And then you take that coupler out and put in another coupler and try to do it without resorcinol. And you're visually working in the intermediate color world of yellow, orange, red, orange, blue. It's not red, yellow, blue. It's much
Mhm.
past that. But always keeping in mind, and what if we lift? Because if I lighten the
Yep.
substrate, if I lighten the hair, all of a sudden it's orange. What am I going to do?
Mhm.
And so what needs to be in this level 7 color to work with orange, but you can't duplicate lift anywhere except on someone's head.
Mm.
You have to do live models. It
Yes.
doesn't matter if they're natural, uncolored, natural hair swatches that are virgin do not
Mhm.
perform the same way the product will on someone's head. So
Mm.
it's wild, and it was so fun. It was just
Yeah, and to see that must be incredible,
you can
and
tell. It was
to
just so fun.
that puts you right in the thick of it, and, it's like when you're seeing the actual, creation,
Yeah,
like, happening, the explosion of the creation
right.
happening. So for new people, what advice would you give for someone just starting out? Like, what makes a successful start possible? How someone starting out today can lay a groundwork for a lifetime career?
I think the first thing that you have to understand is that it's not going to be the same. I had no idea that this is the career path that I was going to be on.
Mhm,
Um, I I sometimes I sometimes am kind of heartbroken when I read people saying, "I've been in the salon for 40 years." And I want to say, "And?"
mhm,
And I love that. I mean, people say, "Well, where's your salon?" I say, "I don't have a salon." I mean, I have a salon in my home that,
mhm.
I use as a test salon, but I don't work in a salon every day. And I
Yes.
have massive respect for people who are in the salon every day and that's their passion, that's what they love, and 40 years from now that's what they're still doing. But you have to be on some sort of a journey. You have to be moving forward. You have to say, "Okay, what am I going to do this year that I didn't do last year? What books am I going to read? What events am I going to go to? How am I going to invest in myself?" And remember, no one is going to do it. No one's going to
Mhm,
hand it to you. No one's going to tell you. In a world of independent stylists, nobody's going to hold you responsible but you.
mhm,
So you you have to become a master at being self-driven, at being self-motivated. And if you don't like getting up in the morning, that's fine. You can sleep in every single day. Book your first client at 1 o'clock.
mhm,
That that's no, that's the beauty of designing your own life is if you don't like getting up in the morning, don't. But if you love getting up in the morning, then book your first client at 7:30. I have a friend who does I have a friend who's still doing this. It's just crazy.
mhm.
He does a perm every morning at 5 a.m.,
Oh, wow.
6 days a week. And I'm
Yep.
like, even on his day off, and I was like, "What's with that?" And he goes, "Well, I figured out years ago that I can wrap a perm without being totally awake. I can't do color,
Yes.
but he does a perm every morning at 5 a.m." I'm just like,
Mhm.
if you're up, it's like
Yep.
I prefer to spend 5 a.m. somewhere else.
Yeah, obviously,
But
his
wow,
clients have to be up early. I don't know many clients that would want to be up
yeah.
at 5 AM,
But
but
he does, but he does school. And they're all pre-booked. He does school teachers and people that need to go to work and people that don't have the time to
yep.
do that or time like they come once every 3 months at 5 a.m. He comes every
Mhm.
day,
Yep.
so it's wild.
But that makes total sense, and why not offer that if you have a staff or yourself that wanna book those, early appointments? That's great for some people because after school or after work, they have to get home, they have family, they have their life after. They don't necessarily wanna go to the salon after.
Or late appointments. And I suppose, and if
Yep.
you're a salon owner,
Mhm.
if you're owning a business, you want to develop a business. The biggest lesson I ever learned was from a mentor. Sam Mercado taught me that
Mhm.
you become a training company as soon
Yes.
as you change your mind
Mhm.
from being I'm waiting to I've got 7 chairs, I've got to hire 7 people. No,
Mhm.
you're a training company.
Yes. Mhm.
Churn and burn.
Mhm.
Always bringing new people in. People are always
Yes.
floating out the top. Doesn't matter. The other thing is 5 chairs does not equal 5 employees.
No.
Five
No.
chairs can equal 7 employees. 5 chairs can equal 12 employees.
Mhm.
There are a lot of hours in the day. And,
Exactly.
and one of
Yeah.
the benefits of being an employee is I don't want to work 40
Mhm.
hours a week or 50 hours a week. I want to work Tuesday and Wednesday
Mhm.
for 7 hours a day. Great.
Yep. Mhm.
And then as the owner, I just fill the chairs until I'm full. I mean, which was a concept that I remember hearing originally from Jerry Gordon in Chicago,
Mhm.
that they had a relatively small salon, and that's fine. But if you open at 7 o'clock in the morning and you're open till 10 o'clock at night, you need hairdressers to go with the chairs.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
and some people like that. Not everybody wants to work a
that's not for
12-hour
everybody.
day.
Yeah, it's
No,
not for
but
everybody.
a lot of people do
But you
like
could
the
triple
concept.
shift, and you could triple shift in that time.
Exactly, because a
Yeah,
lot of them do like the sharing, the job sharing or the hour.
yeah,
Or say I work till 7 till 2, you work 7 till 9 or 7 till 2 or 2 till 5 because you only want to work
yeah.
3, 4 hours, then get somebody to work till 10,
Fill the other
the
time.
5 till
Yeah,
10. So and then your chair is full like a restaurant. If they don't get the turnover on those tables, they're losing money. So every time your chair is empty or you're sitting around, or as I say, it's a little bit different, I think, now because social media is so relevant. But when we were like doing it, like you said, I would go to the I built my clientele by doing hair for theater shows, by doing bridal shows, by
yeah.
going out and meeting people, going to the local fairs, going to the because we didn't have internet. We didn't have, unless you had a newspaper ad or something, there wasn't any other ways to meet
Well,
people unless you
there
actually
was
went
no
out and you did it.
there was no virtual life. I
Hmm.
made the comment that I would rather sit on my sofa, but
Yeah.
I spend enough time on social media that it looks like I'm doing a lot of stuff.
Exactly. Well, and
Well, yeah,
obviously, I'm sure.
I'm working from my home. I'm in a home office 50% of the
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
So yeah, I walked out of my bathroom into my office, and now I'm
Exactly,
working.
and you're right there, and obviously people are gonna promote on social media their
Right.
best life,
Yeah.
and people say, "Wow, he had such an exciting
Yeah, I
life,"
want to live
or
like that. Go. Yeah. Yeah. When the
so
plane is delayed and you're wandering through the airport at 1 o'clock in the morning, talk to me.
Exactly. So looking to the future, what exciting you may or may not be able to answer because you may have some stuff under wraps, but looking to the future, what exciting projects or developments are you most enthusiastic about?
From kin
Just for
or in
anything,
life.
in anything, yeah.
Um, well, from kin, next week we're launching a new 4 new products that are
Ooh,
for smoothing over curly hair.
nice.
We also have a smoothing system that is non. It's actually created by a European company, so it's non-formaldehyde based because formaldehyde's illegal over there.
Mhm,
And we'll be launching that in a little bit. Some of the other things coming, I think that I'm an ultimate optimist. Our
mhm,
industry gets better and better and better,
yes,
and there are and I would make a pitch to anybody. If you want to have an amazing career, you need to get involved in the beauty industry.
mhm.
But I'm not going to tell you that it's easy.
No, no, it
It's
takes a
hard.
lot of discipline, it
It's
takes a
hard
lot
work,
of
and nobody's gonna hand it to you.
No,
But find we need to bring mentors back and find a mentor and chase someone and become obsessed with people. Um, in acknowledgement, one of our favorite mentors passed away just this week. Trevor Sorby
yes,
passed away,
mhm.
and he has touched every hairdresser. They may not know it,
Oh,
but
yeah, yeah,
he deserves he deserves to be celebrated as right as the second Vidal Sassoon, if you will. I
mhm,
mean, in terms of the way he revolutionized things in the industry and changed things and taught and built us. There are wonderful mentors available in our industry today. You just have to look,
mhm.
and they're waiting.
Exactly, and they're there. It's just finding, like that sort of thing. So as we're kind of wrapping up, is there anything I haven't asked you that you would like to share with our audience?
Oh,
We can
I
always
don't
have you
know.
back for a part 2.
Yeah, we can do more. Um, I I just want I hope people understand that our industry is about it's about what we do for other people, and that's what happens in the salon. And
Mhm,
if you can have a servant's heart and support and build and learn to help people have their best day, learn to help people look their best and feel their best, um, you'll be rewarded and you'll be taken care of. I
yeah,
I have family members who have multiple graduate degrees, and I became the hairdresser, and I'm the one that never had to look for a job.
wow, that's amazing.
So that's a different. And I have one brother-in-law uh, who was unemployed every couple of years for a while, and it's like that hasn't been me.
Mhm.
I've been very blessed, and I'm very grateful for what the industry's done for me.
Oh yeah, and there's so much out there that, I mean, it's not like you just go to hair school and it only gives you one option and that's all you can do. There's so much
Right.
more.
Absolutely.
So you were saying like mentors, things like that. Is there anybody that you would like to give a shout out to?
Oh, the list is long. David Kenningson is one. Albie Mulcahy is one. And these are the ones that are friends. Adam Schumann is one. Missy Peterson is fantastic. Oh, gee, now I'm going to leave people out.
It's okay. It's like the awards and then they put the music on
it's
and
like,
get the hook in the
Brad,
theater.
watch Brad. Yeah, it's like, I thank everybody. And really, I just kind of have my learning hat on. And so I wander around figuring out what I can learn from anybody or from any situation
Mhm.
or from sitting in an airport looking at bad hair.
Yeah,
You
and I
know,
think that's the thing for most people. They don't really know what type of impact they have on people. Some people may never say anything to them, but they just don't know. They're like how they've influenced somebody, how they impressed somebody, how they've changed somebody's life, or
yeah.
things like that. It's been incredible chatting with you. If people want to get a hold of you, where's the best place to get a hold of you?
Um, you can email me. You can tag. I'm on Instagram at Kinhead Coach. Gary, I think it's Gary Kinhead Coach. I'm on Facebook at Gary Call. We have a Facebook group for professionals called Kin Salons and Stylists, and I let anybody in there as long as I can tell by your profile that you're a
You're a
professional.
stylist, yeah, or in the
And
industry. Yeah.
you can email me at Gary@KinNorthAmerica.com, um, we can talk and send samples and get to know you, and direct message on social media, whatever.
Yeah, I'm so excited about, I'm even buzzing right now, like hearing about kin, what they're like. Cause for my clientele, like being the 100% vegan, getting the true to tone, things like that. It makes, and say, I want to go deeper into learning more about the product line and all that kind of stuff. But I know everybody who's been here from the start, they're still with us watching. If you do have any questions for Gary or myself, you can comment in the section here on Facebook where you're watching, and we are live. So I like to bring people up, celebrate them, and if not, we'll see everybody next time. But today's episode has been brought to you by Beauty Industry Cruises, powerful education and beautiful destinations. You were invited to the upcoming feature cruise. This is the best Black Friday deal you'll ever get. An inside cabin starts at $49, and that's plus taxes and fees. Includes your cabin, basic beverages, meals, and entertainment. That's part of the Beauty Industry Cruises signature social series cruise. It's a 2-night Western Caribbean from Palm Beach, Florida, January 13th to 15th, 2025 on the family-friendly Margaritaville at Sea. So let's just kind of take a look at a video.
Discover a new way to enhance your beauty career with our exclusive Beauty Industry Cruises. Imagine learning from top industry experts while sailing through breathtaking destinations. Our cruises offer hands-on workshops, inspirational talks, and the latest trends in beauty. Network with fellow beauty professionals, all while enjoying luxurious amenities and stunning views. Join us for an unforgettable experience that combines powerful education with beautiful destinations. Elevate your skills, grow your network, and create lasting memories. Don't miss out on this unique opportunity. Book your spot on the Beauty Industry Cruise today.
Yeah, so that's a great way for people to, yeah, I'll bring Gary back. It's a great, we thought, yeah, no, you're still here. So it's a great way to kind of get together and say, maybe find a mentor, learn
For
some new
sure.
skills, be able to connect. It's just one different way that we kind of have, you know, it's our way to kind of set a legacy or I mean, so whatever you kind of do, like even today, this recording we've done has a shelf life of forever. So long after we're gone, people are going to be watching us saying, wow, those are two incredible guys. I wish I had met them. But you
Yeah.
can. You
Yeah,
can
they're
connect
gone.
with
Yeah,
them.
it's like
And all that kind of stuff. But there's new cruises from Miami, New York, Port Canaveral, Texas, Amsterdam, Athens, UK, Jacksonville, and Baltimore is coming soon. We just added a 2026 14-day Hawaii from Long Beach, Los Angeles. You can go look at the website at www.beautyindustrycruises.com, and you can go to IG at Beauty Industry Cruises. You can find me at Brad Celebrity Hairstylist on IG as well. And also, if you have an idea for the show or would like to be a guest, you can email me at Hairstylist Empowerment Podcast at Outlook.com. So as we finally wrap up, do you have any, even though you've given so much already, Gary, so as we close, do you have one last nugget of gold you would like to leave our audience or message?
Just get outside of yourself and start paying attention.
Amazing. Amazing. So thank you, Gary, for being on the Hairstylist Empowerment Podcast. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see everybody next time. So remember to get up, dress up, show up wonderfully and powerfully, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks.